All right, well, welcome everyone to our Saturday morning A-Team call. I'm Brian Drollinger, Integrated Presidential Director, joined here with Terry Miller, also Integrated Presidential Director. And I'll start out by stating the A-Team motto, that is, you have the ability to achieve greatness by always doing something positive and by being accountable for all of your actions. And for those of you that remember being on the A-Team calls, that was a lot of fun. We've had them for many years, and today we have a special guest here today that I know that all of you are very excited to hear, Dave Blanchard. And Dave, I've been working with you for almost a year. I know Terry has too, and we've had a lot of people that have definitely benefited from your service to us. And Terry, you want to say anything?
I do, Brian. I am so excited to have Dave with us today. You know, Dave's life's work has been a perfect match for what we are moving and growing and learning and enriching our lives in and Take Shape for Life. And it's just been a blessing. Yeah, David and I have been working with Dave for, whoa, gosh, Dave, I think we're going on 18 months now. And you work with many of our team members and individually and collectively through OgVault and some other things that you're going to share. You know, there's many aspects of what Dave does and how he can assist us grow and learn to work with people and get structured and all the kind of things that Dave's going to talk about today. But you know, whether you enjoy this aspect of it or dive in a little bit more and do the OgVault or you know, working with them personally, it's just a blessing to be part of you. And or Dave, occasionally, those of us who are working individually with you push the record button when, you know, so we've got some great little snippets of you also. So, you know what, we did not wake up this early in the morning to listen to me this morning, Brian. So let's go ahead and have Dave.
Yes, let's have Dave start. Dave?
Thank you for taking time out of a Saturday. I know Saturdays are such precious times for families, and with the schedule that you keep in your businesses, both with other careers that you're working on and building your Take Shape for Life business, this is really a precious time. I do want you to know that I have spent considerable time pondering and considering what needs to be shared today, what I want to share in an effort to bless your lives. We have had the privilege of doing the intentional creation assessment with 1,900 Take Shape for Life coaches. 1,900. It's given us a really good overview. This is from integrated presidentials down to brand new people that have taken the assessment. I've personally had the privilege of debriefing about 100 of those, collectively as a team, about 200 in full-blown assessment debriefs, and another couple hundred in little 20-minute consults. When you take the assessment, make sure that you sign up for a consult. It's a free consult. Now, the purpose of the consult is to help you better understand your assessment and then see if there's anything else that we can do to be of service in moving your business forward. That's our mission. That's what we do. I've shared this with you before, but this morning it just seems extra poignant. I want to share it with you from this. I got back last weekend from speaking. I delivered 2 keynote addresses. The challenge that I have everywhere else I speak is I can't say there what I can say here. I can't say there what I can say here. And the reason being is quite simple. If in fact you catch the vision and you embrace the mission of helping America and now the world, I love when Dr. A said that on Monday, and the world, and the world to get healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances. The truth is that if you pay the price to improve yourself so that you can show up more effective, it actually works. The product, the fuelings, actually create predictable results. The compensation plan is very real. I know all the plans. I know all the companies that do direct sales. There's nothing like this. There is nothing even close to this, so that you can be handsomely rewarded for the service that you provide. I would go into statistics, but I'm not going to this morning. I just want you to know I've got a great view of what's happening out there in home-based type businesses, and there just isn't one like this. And we want so badly to assist you, excuse me, in becoming successful and attracting other people to this process, because people so desperately need a healthy body. And the piece we can't see, it's easy when someone's got a few extra pounds on them. It's easy for us all to see and for them to know. We all get up in the morning, we take a shower, we look in the mirror. We know. We might go in the closet and do our very best to try to dress to look slender, but we know. And everybody else does too, because it's visible. Somebody's finances may not be as visible. In fact, even when they do the wellness assessment, they may or may not be totally disclosing. If they are, they say, yeah, this is an area I need help. Somebody who's open to that discussion. Someone who says they don't doesn't mean they don't. It just means they may not be ready to talk about that piece. Because in my experience with 70,000 people that we've assessed, I've debriefed well over 6,000 of those one-on-one for an hour, 2 hours apiece. People are having challenges. And though we cannot see that unhealthy mind, sometimes we see the evidence of it, the way they might react or act out. We may not see the unhealthy finances, but it is the truth. It's the truth. And you can have confidence. If you struggle or are struggling, you are not alone. And sometimes a coach only has to be one block ahead. You stepped in glue buckets. You've broken your ankle in that pothole. You can help that client get through their challenges. You know what it feels like to want to eat your arm off, to dive into those Twinkies. You don't have to know everything. Primarily, you just want to care for another human being, to help them experience what you're experiencing. This is really unique, because a coach walks by the side of a client and creates results. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I do want to tell you that in the trainings that we're going to be developing inside the Og Vault, there are going to be some in the area of, okay, how do you set a proper expectation for a client? Right up front. Because I'm hearing a lot, they won't return my phone calls. It's very frustrating. Well, there's a reason why they're not returning a phone call. And if we can set an expectation properly right up front by caring enough to step into the world and challenge them and create this relationship, we're not going, I got a client, oh, I got a client, or I got a coach. And I'm going, well, maybe, maybe. They purchased the fuelings. Let's find out if you really have a coaching relationship where you can guide them through this journey or not. We'll talk just a little teeny bit about this today. But we want to be able to connect with people and show up and serve them. And what keeps us from doing that is not a natural gift. Oh, I've got a percentage to show you this morning from those 1,900 assessments that should rock your world. However, many of us have a lot of dialogue going on in our heads. And that's what self-improvement's all about. Bottom line, it is worth it. It's worth it. How many of you had the chance to watch Dr. A's presentation on Monday night? He delivered a clinic. Wasn't that awesome? I'm going to put my slide up here. Here we go. Take aim to stay, a wonderful acronym. And he went on to tell us a little bit more. He said, awakening intrinsic motivation. We awaken to the possibilities. We finally see what could be done if we chose to fully engage in this process, to embrace the simple system, to stop trying to invent the wheel, shut off the noise in our head, actually show up serving people. The possibilities. Number two, to acquire relationships. Dr. Hartman, who did the mathematics for our assessment, said the objective is to be real and genuine and authentic without the need to impress, pretend, feel ashamed, or fear. He went on to say this is the most difficult task in our mortal existence and the highest level of maturity. To be real, at the root of the word relationship is the word real. To be real is to have relationships. To be genuine, genius, that's the root word, is to bring our genius fully to those relationships and serving people. And to be authentic is to be our true self. Now, our true self is our self free of these unhealthy habits of thinking we all have. I wrote a book called The Observer's Chair. We sit in the observer's chair. Here, we're confident and we're empathetic and we're compassionate. Dr. A said that last night. He said, empathy, we can see; compassion, we roll up our sleeves and we dig in. To have compassion, the word means a willingness to suffer for someone we love. That's etymologically for compassion. A willingness to suffer with someone we love. When we're in the observer's chair, we can do this. But we've got those unhealthy habits of thinking over there, that other chair, and sometimes we surrender our free will, our true self, to those habits of thinking. And when we do, Og says, we've already marked out a path which threatens to imprison our future. We want to learn how to acquire relationships, how to stay in the observer's chair so that we can learn to serve. Because the third was autonomy, to provide support and empathetic coaching. What a beautiful concept for AIM. Then he said, we want to stay. That's having a strategy and the tactics and the action and owning it. It's ours. It's ours. Well, we're going to spend our time today, my mission, what I'm absolutely driven and passionate about today, and have been a little sleepless for a few nights and up early this morning, is to take you into the details of how to awaken this intrinsic motivation. Talking about having it's one thing. Actually having it could be quite another. So I want to walk you into this and see if I can serve you. Now, when I listened to Dr. A's presentation and Dan Bell's comments in the previous presentation on Monday night, kind of summed it down to, what is Take Shape for Life? What is it all about? And I summarized it into 3 statements. Number 1, we acquire and support clients. And I might add, we never stop acquiring and supporting clients. Our mission is to create health in the nation and the world, right? Well, that's people. That's clients. That's helping someone get on the fuelings, walk by their side, and create results. Nothing happens till we acquire a client. I call this the washing the windows and taking out the trash. It's something we never stop doing. And if we ever get too big to do this, it might mean we actually wanted to get past it. We never want to get past the lifeblood. Acquiring and supporting clients. 2, acquiring and supporting new coaches. These are clients that we're inspiring to embrace the mission we're embracing, to catch the vision of the possibilities, to create those relationships and to learn how to be that supportive, empathetic coach to help leverage the mission. Leverage the mission. You can't talk to everybody. but you can have enough clients who can be inspired to then in turn go and find new clients, acquire and support new clients. Third, develop leaders. As we have these coaches and they acquire clients and those clients decide they would like to become coaches, then our mission has another element. We develop leaders. We're transferring skill sets. This allows us to leverage to millions of people. You to millions, you to millions. Isn't that incredible? That you don't have to talk to every person. You don't have to acquire every client. You help acquire coaches who help you, and then you help train coaches to be leaders so they can transfer those skills down, and we can have multiple levels of qualified coaches. Hope you're okay with this. Wash, rinse, and repeat. Doing the same thing. Now, if we get into the business and we're saying, I just want to get to a point where I don't have to do this anymore, my question might be, do we really embrace the mission? Is this really our mission? Or are we just taking advantage of the mission to get to a certain place in life? Now, we do want more time freedom, financial freedom, other things maybe we want to do. We want balance in our life. I get that. But when we stop acquiring and supporting clients, it's as if we're trying to grow beyond the mission. And we want to get regrounded in the mission. The purpose for acquiring a client, for acquiring a coach, for developing a leader is for you to leverage your personal burning intrinsic mission to help this country get healthy. Healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances. That's really your business right here on one page. Well, here's the big question today. Would you like life to be a little easier and a little less stressful? Now, this has two elements. One, if I just want to escape and avoid people, I want to care enough about people to make enough money so I don't have to deal with annoying people anymore. I want to buy a house on the hill so I don't have to deal with annoying people anymore. That's the wrong kind of less stress and ease. There's an entirely new kind. Remember Dr. Dan? Dan was the one who said it. When Dr. A introduced him on Monday, he just said, hey, our business can only grow to the extent that we grow personally. The way I like to say it is our goal is to acquire ever-increasing levels of ability to handle ever-increasing levels of responsibility with ever-increasing levels of ease. This is the ease we seek. Now think about this. What is our stress level when we are just acquiring and supporting clients? If we're new in the business and it's a new undertaking for us, it can be really stressful. But we acquire ability to handle that. Now we start acquiring and supporting coaches. New level of responsibility, more stress. So we acquire new ability. It's not as stressful. Now we start supporting leaders. More responsibility, more potential stress, except for we acquire more ability. So it is less stressful. This is the key. And here's the whole basis of my conversation today. I want to put this, I usually don't use PowerPoints, but I wanted to so you'd have these. This is being recorded. And so you don't have to write this down, you'll have a recording. When we feel overwhelmed, now, of course, nobody ever does, right? Or discouraged. Of course, our expectations are always met, aren't they? If we ever feel overwhelmed or discouraged, should that happen, this is what we know. We know that our responsibilities have outpaced our current leadership abilities. That's all. Sometimes we get into these stressful moments and we're just going, I can't do this anymore. I want to give you a new phrase. I can't do this much longer with this current level of ability. I will want to go and get more ability to handle this so I can make it less stressful. We don't want to back off. We don't want to quit. We want to push through and get beyond, gain an ability so that that which used to sink us, something happened in the morning, somebody returned a fueling, they said they didn't want it, they returned it. Oh my goodness, we spent the whole day wondering what we did wrong, what we could have done differently. We acquire the ability to handle this. We can handle 5 or 6 major issues by 9 o'clock and still be energized for the day. So, if you ever get to a point that you feel overwhelmed or a little discouraged, up here, responsibility is so high, I'm feeling discouraged. Just look at the ability, go, what do I need to do to raise it? Because that's what I'm going to show you today, how to raise this. Because when we raise it, we can handle the responsibility with greater levels of ease, which allows us to do what? To grow the business and have even more responsibility. You see, success and responsibility come together. The more successful, the more responsibility, which means if we want more success, more responsibility, but we just want our circumstances to change. I don't really want to change me. Oh my goodness. We're about to be crushed. We will want to gain new levels of ability to handle the responsibility we currently have, and then ever increasing levels of responsibility with greater levels of ease. I love the phrase, let's be messy. Let's be messy. I hear Doug say it all the time. I want to be messy. Let's be messy. Well, messy really is, I am driving my business, and for a season, I may be lagging a little bit in ability, so this could be overwhelming. But I want to increase my ability. Otherwise, Take Shape for Life becomes take over my life. We don't want Take Shape for Life to take over your life. You want Take Shape for Life. You want your life to be congruent with and capable of handling the growth that's occurring in your business. Because with that growth comes a great blessing, that financial freedom. Because if there's anything we're going to focus time on today, it's going to be on that piece and why it's so important and how to plan for it, how to view it differently, how to have it ignite our intrinsic motivation. A very, very critical element we sometimes don't completely understand. Overwhelmed, discouraged? Okay. If you run the risk of it, or you sometimes feel that way, or if you're buried deep in it, then it's time for us to increase our ability. I've been talking about the first 3 critical decisions of becoming an entrepreneur, of owning this business. This is so congruent with this is yours. That stay, S-T-A-Y, strategy, tactic, action, it's yours. It's making that decision to become the boss. Okay, I may not have had a boss before, or I may have had employment where I had a boss, but I'm choosing to become my own boss, self-directed, acting on my own moral authority, doing the next right thing for the right reason because I want to get to and choose to. And having made that decision, I'm going to hire myself. What that means is that I have dialogue. I have internal dialogue. It's going on all the time. I want to become aware of what it is. What is my dialogue in terms of what should motivate me? Is it more around have to, should, must, need to, fear consequences? Or is it more about want to, get to, choose to? Now, I'm all about want to, get to, choose to, but what does my dialogue want me to do? That's the question. So I'm going to hire my dialogue because I drag it around with me everywhere I go. And it impacts every facet of my life and business. My emotional state when I wake up in the morning, the decisions I make, the actions I take or don't take, the results I create or don't create. Of course, the results, good or bad, are results, right? So what is my dialogue? I don't have a choice. This is my first employee, my own dialogue. My third choice, I'm going to find out where my dialogue is supporting me, and I'm going to maximize it. I'm going to find out where my dialogue is sabotaging me, and I'm going to jettison out of my life. I'm going to create a new habit of thinking. I'm going to replace this with a better habit. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get a new one. And with the brain being neuroplasticity, they call it, it's malleable. I literally can create a new neural pathway. That's not a concept, it's a reality, a new neural pathway in the brain. And my brain's so kind that when I have that new habit, it prunes off the old one. I wake up with a newfound energy and a new excitement and vigor I never knew possible, Og says, in this life of strife. Wow, the world may be crazy, but I'm really excited. We can rise above the craziness of the world by choosing to, one, become the boss, then hire ourselves, and then improve this piece. So when we say self-improvement, the reason why we're reading books, the reason why we're coaching, the reason why we're meeting today is to become aware of this and shift it. In other words, self-improvement is not this moment in time. This is just awareness so that 2 hours from now or Monday morning, whenever it might be, when you hear this dialogue, you can hear it, you're aware of it, and you go, that's not serving me. I choose to think differently, and I choose to think differently. And each time that shows up in a pivotal moment, I make a different choice, and I make a different choice, and I make a different choice. As James Allen wrote in A Man Thinketh. Now, this was over 100 years ago, so it's not politically correct, but it's powerful. Let a man, you, a human being, radically alter his thoughts. And he'll be astonished at the rapid transformation it will affect in the material conditions of his life. We want our conditions to shift. We can focus on conditions, or we can focus on shifting these thought processes. One of them will leave us broken and angry and frustrated, and one will actually facilitate a change. That's why we do self-improvement, so that in a pivotal moment, we hear the thought and we shift it. And we do that enough times, repeated. And as Og said, we create a new furrow where we plant seeds and they start to grow and a new neural pathway shows up. And again, the brain prunes off the old habit. Wow. That used to really put me in the toilet. And all of a sudden, it's no big deal. I have a new habit of thinking. I choose to handle that differently. I choose to think differently when it occurs. And wow, it's like all of a sudden I got hours in the day. I once asked a client, brand new client, doing an assessment debrief, who clearly obsessively thought, and he used his gift to obsessively think very destructively, to worry. He's always worrying, planning out worst case scenarios, tormenting himself over things that may never come to pass. And I said, what would it be like if you stopped worrying? And he said, I'd be non-existent. Wow. What I know is that when I heard this dialogue, because I grew up in an environment where it's the worst case scenario and you got to, that wasn't so bad. The joy you had was that it didn't turn out as bad as you thought it would. Isn't that sick? That is so destructive. This was a major shift for me to go from worry, 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 not so bad, to not worrying and tormenting myself over something that most likely would never come to pass. And if it did, just applying the skill set at the time to address the issue. I know I found 3 hours in my day. 3 hours in my day. Think about that overwhelm you might sometimes feel, that discouragement you sometimes might feel. Is your thought processes causing the release of molecules in your body, like the hormone cortisol, which just drains the energy out of a cell, leaves us vulnerable to immune deficiency disease, to adrenal fatigue, exacerbation of diabetes, hypertension, some forms of cancer? Lots of studies on the topic. If we worry, we have chronic releases. Matter of fact, they tell us that 95% of the pathology at age 65 is the result of the chronic release of cortisol. Someone who never heard this thought process, never chose to manage it, who kept thinking worst case scenarios, kept having cortisol released in their body, and now it has damaged the cells to a point that disease is presenting itself. Wow. Right now, it might just be frustrating. Later, it could be terminal. What your thought process wants you to do? Is it time to find out? Is it time to engage in self-improvement that will radically alter your thoughts and create astonishment in the rapid transformation of created in the material conditions of your life? Is it time? Oh, I hope so. I hope so. Because the greatest joy in life, in relationships, and in your business, and in connections with your clients and coaches, will come as you improve you. Most of the challenges we have are due to the way we're showing up. Because when we don't show up healthy, we also do not inspire others to do so. So part of it's our own behavior. Part of it is that we're not present enough to inspire. Let us be present so we can inspire. In short, the sustainable growth of our business and the strength in our relationships is contingent on our personal growth. Enough said. Now, I want you to do up your seatbelt for 3 slides. Just do up your seatbelt. I don't want you to leave the room, because the concept of aim, this awakening intrinsic motivation to stay, is rooted in correct principle driven by objective mathematics. Yes, mathematics. Robert Hartman created what's called the Hartman Value Profile. Behind the profile is axiological mathematics, which uses Cantor's transfinite calculus. You don't need to remember any of that other than we think in 3 dimensions. An intrinsic dimension where we're thinking about people. In an extrinsic dimension, we're thinking about things. In a systemic dimension, we're thinking about discipline, structure, rules, the simple system. We're very complex beings. Dr. Hartman's the father of axiological mathematics. Using it, he found a way for us to value everything. Not moral value, not normative value. It's not a whole bunch of people got together and voted. It's not political. It's not religious. It's mathematical, totally objective. No one argues that 1 comes before 2, 2 comes before 3, 3 comes before 4. In the concept of axiological mathematics and Cantor's transfinite calculus, here on the left-hand side, I to the I, that's an intrinsic concept valued intrinsically. That's a human being. Is the highest mathematical value. Mathematicians won't argue this concept because it's not normative, it's not an opinion, it's mathematics. The only reason why I put this particular slide up is I've given you the 18 levels. 9 of them deal with positive statements in the assessment. 9 of them deal with negative statements in the assessment. But the top 3 tell the story. The top 3. The bottom 3 are just a mirror of it. It's saying, here are the 3 most important things we want to focus on. And I might add, as a Take Shape for Life coach, because everything else will fall into alignment when these 3 are in place. And the worst possible thing that we can do is to not do that. That's the bottom 3. That's on the right-hand side at the bottom. That's all you need to know. That we're going to talk about the 3 most important mathematical measurements in the universe. Now, remember I said 3 slides? This is slide 2. I got 1 more after this, so just hang on. Keep that seatbelt done up. For those who might be interested, this is what it looks like in Cantor's transfinite calculus. He uses an aleph. It's the first letter of an alphabet. It's the symbology for an infinite concept. Infinite concept. Index 1 means it's non-denumerable. Well, a non-denumerable infinite to the power of a non-denumerable infinite is a person, valued intrinsically. We want to awaken intrinsic motivation. We want to know what drives intrinsic motivation. And the first and most important thing is the intrinsic valuation of a human being. It's number 1. Mathematically, number 2, aleph index is 0, a denumerable infinite, to the power of a non-denumerable infinite. That's the symbology. That's things, tangible, comparable, contrastable things, valued intrinsically. Yes, we can absolutely intrinsically value things. And I'm going to give you today the guidelines for that so that we don't go off into ego or escape and avoid fantasy. This is the number 2 most important mathematical measurement in the universe. Oh my goodness. I'm supposed to intrinsically value things. This isn't about being materialistic. It's about becoming an intentional creator. And number 3, singular concept to the power of a non-denumerable infinite. That's structure, valued intrinsically. Yes, out of 18 line items, the 3rd most important is that we intrinsically value structure. This could be our greatest challenge, and I want to show you today why you would intuitively, intrinsically value structure. Embrace it willingly. Otherwise, 90% of you just flat out resist it. Let me show you how to get there. Because when these 3 are in order, we are igniting, awakening intrinsic motivation. Now, one more piece. This is our 3rd slide. I to the I, intrinsic concept valued intrinsically. That's people. That's loving people, seeing their pricelessness, their uniqueness. It's also loving myself intrinsically. This isn't about ego. This is about being comfortable in my own skin, being real and genuine and authentic without the need to impress or pretend or feel shame or fear. Remember when I said this? The most difficult task in our mortal existence and the highest level of maturity. That's loving myself. Because once I'm okay, I am totally available to love people. Not to worry about me anymore. I'm not worrying about my worth or my worthiness or my ability or my beliefs or my character, my contribution or what other people are thinking about me. Totally available to serve, love people. That's why it's critical we learn how to love ourselves. 2nd level, E to the I. When we have something we value intrinsically that we're creating, it ignites our passion. The gift we're given to sustain the work of creation. Otherwise, everything we do in life is boring, mundane, burdensome, and hard. Ugh. And when we're passion driven, internally in my own fibers of my being, viscerally, I want to be enjoying the journey. I want to love this. I want to be passion driven what I'm doing, but I want to love my journey. I love my life. Second most important thing. And third, I'm embracing discipline and structure in my doing, and I am self-directed. I gave you the definition a few minutes ago. I want to repeat it. Acting on my own moral authority, doing the next right thing for the right reason, because I want to, get to, and choose to. Now, I happen to believe in God, but I also believe that God wants me to be self-directed. In other words, I serve him, not because I'm afraid or obligated, because I love him. That's self-directed. Now, you don't have to believe in God to be self-directed. But if you believe in God, you can act on your own moral authority, doing the next right thing for the right reason, because you want to, get to, and choose to. We're going to focus mostly on E to the I today. But I want to spend just a moment reviewing the I to the I. This is what we talked about last time, just to make sure we have it in its proper place. Now, here's some hard facts. You ready? I'm past the math, so you're okay. Take a big deep breath and a sip of your energy drink and calorie burn, I think we call it. And let's take about where are we as a team collectively. Now, everybody's got an assessment that's different, but there are a few areas where there's such similarity in these three areas that it's important that we discuss it. In I to the I, remember loving people? This ought to blow you away. 88% of all coaches. And what's the 12 that aren't? Are just those few variations, but 88%, extremely high level ability to love people. But on the other single most important mathematical measurement, love myself, 85%. Make you cry. 85% are questioning their worth and worthiness, their ability, their skill set, their character, their contribution. It's tragic. What it does is create tremendous amounts of noise that are distracting. People are walking by who need us every day, and we're not showing up. I've said with this kind of clarity at 88%, we've got the ability to build an entire business just on intuition. In other words, being fully aware and awake and available to serve, to support and be empathetic, and to be conscious enough to be asking those leaders, to be that conscious leader Dr. A talks about, to be conscious. If we were that conscious, 88%, we've got the capacity, if we could shut off the 85%, that noise we have in our head. High ability to be empathetic, high, but a lot of self-deprecating noise about our own worth. Well, we're going to want to learn how to shut that noise off. E to the I, second most important measurement. Passion-driven, 85% have extraordinary clarity in this area. It's just waiting for you. And you know that it is. Because if you've ever procrastinated, you've put something off, it's screaming, but the noise in your head is screaming louder. And you're getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And Pretty soon you have no choice but to jump in, and you shut off the noise and you jump in. This is genius. Genius shows up. Be real, genuine, authentic. Own your genius and bring it fully to the service of another. When we shut off the noise and we jump in, our genius shows up. We go, wow, that wasn't so hard. Wow, why did I wait so long? Even we're surprised. Even we're surprised. Look what it sometimes takes for us to finally shut it off and unleash our genius. And look what we're capable of doing when we do. The other side of this second most important mathematical measurement is that we're experiencing joy in the journey. And 75% of Take Shape for Life coaches are not. High ability to be passion driven, but frustrated and overwhelmed by the journey, primarily unmet expectations. We talk about responsibility and stress that comes with it. We talk about increasing our ability. One of the abilities we'll want to increase is how to use our mind constructively to get inspired ideas, intuitive impressions, solutions to challenges will ignite our passion, our brain. I mean, if I had you wired to a functional MRI, we would see part of your brain ignite that's normally dormant in a human being. When this happens, if we're using it constructively, we learn how to do this, and all of a sudden we're passion driven. We're not frustrated because something didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. Too many health coaches are holding life and their business hostage to expectation. We want to learn how to get in the now and create what we can with what we have. I'll talk a little bit about that today. Lastly, structure, S to the I, that systemic thought valued intrinsically. Here's the challenge. Okay, so we love people, but we're having challenges with our own esteem. Got enormous capacity to create, but we're not enjoying the journey. Well, we just increase our ability. And to do it, third most important measurement, structure. 90% are resisting structure. 68% internally will do it, but they'll do it out of obligation. Have to, should, must, need to, even fear consequences. This is not healthy. My mission today is to help this make a major shift. I'm going to give you the ingredients, if you will, for igniting or awakening intrinsic motivation as it relates to structure. Entrepreneurs, don't embrace imposed structure. Here's people, here's structure. If we say, this is the way, it has to be done this way, everybody do it this way, and it's all about the structure, we're going to crush the people because they're going to be in absolute resistance. The visual is, here are the people. Let us show how to use structure to support us in loving people and creating our dreams. Then we want it. We want it. We don't resist it. So we're highly resistant to structure, and we're driven by obligation. Have to, should, must, need to, fear consequences. Creates overwhelm. Let's go to work. Loving people. What do we do? Well, here we are with this challenged esteem, these questions we have about our own worth. Last session, you want to go back and listen to it again. In the Og Vault, I've got an entire section on breaking out of your shell and how you break out of your shell and connect with another human being. Matter of fact, there's 65 pages in my book on this topic, and today I begin a new life. And a couple of hours of training in the Og Vault just on this topic. Why is it so important? Because it's your greatest strength, but it's untapped in most of our lives. It's untapped. I asked this at convention. I asked it last week. When's the last time we met? When was the last time someone cared enough about us to truly listen to us until we felt understood? And then they didn't try to fix us. Remember? Convention, there were 10 hands raised. I ask groups all the time. Last weekend, I asked 2 groups that. Very few hands. So rare. We want to become the rare one. One, it'll create incredible relationships with people. To become a true empathetic coach. But the greatest benefit, it's a great blessing, the greatest gift we can give a human being to feel understood. You know, we notice what's important to them. We listen to understand. We ask empathetic questions. Trust is established. Walls come down. Cooperation, energy flood out to us. Guess what that does? It fills the void in our soul. When we have an inspired moment when we're connecting with someone, we ask an intuitive question, an empathetic question, something born out of our own life experience. And it creates connection. It creates personal intrinsic value in ourselves as well. We're the ultimate benefit of serving people, beneficiary. You say it again, we're the ultimate beneficiary of serving people. That's why we want to learn how to intrinsically validate. One, our business will thrive. We'll be so connected and have such joy with our people. But there'll finally be purpose in all that we've gone through in our lives. There'll be joy in our journey and much needed healing in our soul. Go back and listen to the last session. Get the Og Vault and spend time on these recordings. Read those pages in the book. Come to those weekly coaching sessions with Paul. Master this art. It's waiting for you. You don't have to overcome a lot of problems. You just have to shut off the noise. This is clear. That's one. Loving myself. As we practice intrinsically validating, we get that flood of energy, starts to fill the hole in our soul. The next thing, as we learn to use this very active, busy mind of ours constructively, to mentally rehearse, seek inspiration, explore, problem solve, plan, goal set. Another 65 pages, and today I begin a new life on this topic. In addition, a couple of hours in the Og Vault and multiple video trainings on this topic. As we get inspired ideas, no matter where you believe they come from, whether it's unleashing your own gifts and talents or a power greater than you, when we get them, and it ignites our brain, places that are normally dormant in a human being, ignites our passion, and we take action. And we prove the validity of that inspired idea. It intrinsically validates us. While we're getting the inspired idea how to serve, we act proves to be correct. Wow, I am intuitive. I am worthy. I am capable. Can you hear the dialogue shifting? And the third, when we're in passion-driven action and we're spending less time being surprised by our genius and spending more time living in our genius, we're intrinsically validated. We are. Self-esteem isn't healed by peeling away the layers of the onion to try to get to the why of why it happened. Okay, so I was in the care and keeping of a pedophile aged 3 through 5. I could spend my lifetime trying to figure out why it happened. Or I could spend a lifetime using that experience empathetically to serve other people who are going through similar challenges. It doesn't need to be that exact challenge. They just may have a serious loss of some kind. I know what it feels like. I know what questions to ask. You know what pain feels like. You know what questions to ask. This is how we heal self-esteem, is that we focus on intrinsically valuing people, which is your greatest strength. We learn how to use our mind constructively, which is one of your greatest challenges if it's not used correctly, and you have in abundance 90% of you. And you're passion-driven, which 85% of you are just crystal clear in this area. We're playing to your strengths to heal your self-esteem, but it requires that action. Now, we're going to get to passion-driven action. We want to get really clear on what I want to create and why, and have it meet the requirements for being intrinsic. I'm going to share them with you today. You may never have heard this anywhere before. This comes out of our research, out of our coaching with thousands and thousands of clients, our own personal experience, and analyzing highly successful people who are intentional creators. Internally, what do? They take the clay I've been given, my clay, my life circumstances, and I create the most I can with my current ability while continually improving myself. I may have some baggage when I come. Some things may have happened to me. I may not have as big of and wide a sphere of influence as others may have. So I take what clay I have and I create the most I can with it. I don't compete against anyone else. And I don't measure myself for success or failure based on anyone else. I compete with myself. As Og said, I'm on this earth for a purpose, and that purpose is to grow into a mountain, not to shrink to a grain of sand. Henceforth, I'll apply all my efforts to become the highest mountain of all. That's not in comparison to anyone. That's taking my clay and creating the most I can with it. And I'll strain my potential till it cries for mercy. Now, I know we've got a lot of people on this call who believe in God. So I'm just going to say this to you. There's not a power in the universe for good. They'll ever give us more of something we do not want. But there's a true principle, whether you believe or not, that when you maximize and magnify your current gifts, more gifts show up. You're given more gifts. So take what you have. Stop comparing it with everyone else and focus on creating the most you can with what you have. This is your life. This is yours. S-T-A-Y, yours. So let's talk about how to do this. Now, you want to pull out a pen and paper. Make sure you have one handy. I'm going to give you some very specific things to consider. Remember, the second most important mathematical measurement is E to the I, intrinsically valuing something. When we do, we work passion-driven and we find joy in the journey. Two requirements of awakening intrinsic motivation. So let's see if we can find it. Here's my objective today. Overcome fear of dreaming, a desire for ease and less stress, the kind of ease that's associated with escape and avoid fantasy, not acquiring ability to handle responsibility with greater levels of ease. That's what we want. We just don't want to escape and avoid fantasy. I want to help you embrace 5 principles that drive the creation of any dream. And then I want to help you pass the test, the 3 requirements, and the 1 natural outcome when our dreams are intrinsic. If we have a dream that passes these 3 tests and drives this outcome, Ooh, you found it. You found that thing that will drive the second most important mathematical measurement in the universe. E to the I. Ignite your passion. What it is not, and E to the I is not the pursuit of ease. In other words, I just want to be able to travel the beaches of the world and relax and not have any more problems or stress or frustration. That escape and avoid fantasy, a desire to hide, or ego gratification. That is not E to the I. Now, I'm going to take you someplace really tender for a moment. This is for you to be very introspective. Now, there's a difference between the real you and your dialogue. Sometimes your dialogue is very different than how we know we're supposed to show up, our real true self. I want to talk about the dialogue for a moment, not you, your dialogue. Because if privately, secretly, when you're lying in bed at night, if that's where you freewheel, or you're lying in bed in the morning freewheeling, or you got windshield time and you're freewheeling, you're just thinking, where do your thoughts go? Do they go to a time when you've reached X level, like global, it says integrated global, $30,000 a month on average income, and we started thinking about how we're going to spend the $30,000. I could pay off this debt. I could finally have some peace. I could have a car that's under warranty. I could have a house that's paid for, or I could have a house, or I could have the house I need to facilitate the numbers of people in my family. I could help those in my family in need. And notice what I said. We're not focusing on how to create it. We're focusing on what it'll be like after we have it. It's called fantasy. And with your thought processes, 90% of you, you're going to create a new mental construct, a new reality. And every time life shows up differently, cortisol surge, hormones in the body, fear dendrites shutting down our prefrontal cortex, rendered emotionally paralyzed, stressed, unmet expectation. You want to examine what's going on privately. Because if there's any tendency to go someplace where you can finally get away from the pains and strains of life, we start to develop what's called duplicity, double-mindedness. And it creates a nasty problem and takes shape for life when it's present. Intrinsically, I have a very high level of clarity in loving people. In the second level of mathematics, the second most important, I just want to have life easier, which means I have to love enough people to make enough money to not have to deal with people anymore. I want you to smile. Remember, we're talking about thought processes, not you. You are committed to the mission. You love people. I'm talking about thought processes that can get in the way. That when we're beat up by life, that baseball bat of life is taking its swings and we're a little exhausted and overwhelmed by it. We just want it to be easier. When we go there, we create duplicity. The conflict becomes, I want to serve, but if I don't want to be, I have a hard time talking about money. If I have a hard time talking about $340 or $50 for the fuelings, I have a hard time taking money from my friends. Why are we having those challenges if you are? I promise you, I don't want to promise you, I would encourage you. Add to your courage to go clearly here and examine those thought processes when you're in your most private moments and find out, do they have anything to do with life being easier and less stressful? Because if they are, we're being double-minded. On one hand, we want to love the people. On the other hand, we just want to get away from it all. And that creates a nasty conflict in our mind. It makes it hard. to just love people, and it makes it harder to own the second most important level of mathematics, the creation of your dreams, which frankly requires most of the time money. Mother Teresa was just sainted. I've shared this before. She was just sainted. In the Catholic Church, that's really a sacred thing. We all know Mother Teresa. Whether we adhere to Catholicism or not, we all know her and have tremendous respect for her. What few of us know is she was one of the most tenacious fundraisers ever. The speech she delivered at the UN was so scathing. Wow, she called the world to task. She raised $110 million. $110 million to help the children on those garbage heaps in Calcutta and beyond. If she was not focused on the financial piece, the healthy finances, we wouldn't even know who she is. We wouldn't know. Healthy finances. Now, here are the 5 principles of E to the I, intrinsically valuing something. We make the fundamental decision to shift our secret desires and real intentions from a desire for ease and less stress to a desire to engage in life. Embrace these principles. Take aim to stay. We embrace these principles. We learn how to connect and serve, which plays into our greatest strength. We focus on creating value everywhere we go and with everyone we meet. And we contribute. We give back. That becomes our secret desire. Imagine waking up in the morning instead of going, oh, all these things I have to get done today, versus I want to, I get to, I choose to. I will command and I will obey my own command. Got that? I will command and I'll obey my own command. I'm not going to let my thought processes run this day. I'm choosing to engage. I'm the boss. I'm hiring myself. I'm improving myself. I'm engaging. I'm embracing principles, connecting, serving, creating value, contributing. That's my new secret desire and real intention. This will take a shift for some, because some have so much pain from past life experiences. It's hard to go, but Dave, you don't understand what I'm going through. If I commiserated, would anything change? This is what will change it. Now the 3 tests. You want to create something, starting with your Take Shape for Life business. Then outside of that, what do you do with the revenue that's created? Escape and avoid? No, we're not going to do that. Ego gratification? No, this isn't about any of that. This is about becoming an intentional creator of your life. You want to create something that inspires you, that breathes life into you. What does that mean? You start experiencing creativity. When you find it, you will wake up in the middle of the night. I am always awake at 4 o'clock in the morning before I do something like this. Can't help it. This inspires me. I'm so determined to breathe life into you. I get creative. I changed a whole bunch of slides this morning. Oh my goodness. It was exciting. Oh my goodness, will I get this done? Because I could feel it. I knew it needed to be talked about this morning. You want to live in that space. Getting inspiration about who needs me today. What can I create today? Where could I find people today? Getting inspired ideas, acting on them. Then you know you found it. You know you found it if it encourages you. Now, this is a very special word. Encourage means to add to, cœur, French for heart, add to your heart or blood, adds to your very fibers of your being to stretch and grow and become all you're meant to be. We all have fears. We got that telephone we want to pick up, got a Zoom call we want to go on. We go on, we're all scared, and we just throw up all over somebody and burn a bridge. No. I want to have the courage to show up being an intrinsically validating, empathetic coach focused on serving them. I will overcome my fear. I'll stop thinking about me and doubts about me and start focusing on their needs, their struggles, their challenges, their desires, their why for wanting to be on program, their why for wanting to become a coach, their why for wanting to become a leader. It's going to encourage me to do that. That means that thing's a good thing. Whatever I'm creating, if I intrinsically value it, I'm doing things I would not have done otherwise. And every time I overcome a fear, I want you to say this and have you hear it really clearly. I become better at loving people, and I become more real, genuine, and authentic because I'm intrinsically validating me. This thing that I'm choosing to create is that important. And lastly, it fosters abundance. You want to share it with others who bless their lives. One of the greatest examples that's universal and takes shape for life is Dr. A's sailboat. Remember when he talked in convention a few years ago, I've been told that he talked about putting a picture of the sailboat on his dresser. I would submit that it met all these requirements. It inspired him to be creative and create marvelous things. It encouraged him to overcome whatever he needed to overcome as a person to play the role that's so critical in what he's doing. Wow. And abundance? I've talked to a number of coaching clients who've been on that boat. There's nothing to do with ego gratification. It has everything to do with inspiring them to see possibilities, to awaken those possibilities. That first line he put in, the acronym for AIMA, awaken possibilities. He uses what he has created to lift and build and inspire other people to go home and find theirs. Theirs may not be a sailboat. It doesn't matter what it is. So long as it inspires them, creates that creativity, encourages them to overcome their doubts and fears. And when they create it, they want to share it. Now, this is a key piece. It's not about the cost of the thing. It's what it does to you. This ring, see that? Cubic zirconium. Used to have a diamond in it. This diamond from this ring is now in Ramona's setting because she gave me her diamond to buy a house in 1989 when we'd lost millions of dollars and had $1 million of debt to pay back. So I took the diamond out of this and put it in another setting for her so she'd have a diamond. That Christmas, she put a cubic zirconium in this and gave it to me, $75, all we could afford. If I took this ring and I tried to sell it in the open market, $50 maybe $50. But to me, it's priceless. I intrinsically value this ring. I just need to touch it. And I remember 10 years of paying back that $1 million of debt. Writing, directing, editing, 200 television shows and TV commercials. Oh my goodness. Putting all the kids through college and marrying 4 daughters. It was incredible. All the sacrifices Ramona made, the sacrifices the children made, the time that was spent, the joy that was experienced, the principles that were learned. Wow, that's an intrinsic thing. It's an extrinsic concept. It's a ring. It's a thing, tangible, comparable. I value it intrinsically. Sunday night, Ramona and I go to our cabin in Bear Lake. Weekend before last, We had 5 couples up there taking on their lives. Wow. I reflect on those moments often. The week before that, our family was up there for Labor Day. The weekend before that, 5 couples up there taking on their marriages. Yeah, nice cabin. It's got 7 bedrooms and 8 bathrooms. Yeah, it overlooks a lake. It's got a stream running behind it. It's made out of 12-inch logs. It's a beautiful place. It has nothing to do with how much it costs. It's what it does to me. It inspires me. It encourages me. It makes me want to be more abundant. It becomes a tool to bless humanity. That's a thing we value intrinsically. Now, I know some who want a mountain cabin because they just want to get away from the world. They're sick and tired of dealing with people. When Terry this morning said she was in Hawaii, she started the sentence by, it's been a few months since we've been here and we've had several people here. Have you looked at her calendar? She uses this beautiful home in Hawaii to bless people. Last weekend, Dr. A had people at his beautiful home. Brian had people at his beautiful home, 130 of them. Jody got excited. They had an incredible event. I know Brian doesn't have a probably 12,000 square foot house with 20 acres and a swimming pool and he's got a green he drives off his patio. That's awesome. It's not about ego gratification. It's all about it inspires him. It encourages him to do things he otherwise might not do. It makes him a better leader in person. And he wants to share it with everyone. That's an E to the I. Have you found yours? It's the second most important measurement in the mathematics. Yes, it's okay to have a dream, to pick something you want to create, so long as it inspires you, encourages you, and fosters, abundance. Everybody got that? Because if it's doing all of that, whoops, I just hit something. There we go. If it does all of that, it's actually helping you do I to the I more effectively. You're better at loving people because you're more whole and complete, more available. Because every time you overcome a weakness or a doubt or a fear, you're a better person, you're more available, you're more intuitive, you're more empathetic. That's why this is so important. There is a reason why we dream, because it's the second most important thing we do, second only to loving people and loving ourselves. Now, in my world, God's above all of this, just so you know. And I know some of you believe in God. I want to make that clear. He's above all of this. But, okay, what am I to do? Love people, learn to love myself. What am I to do? Be passion-driven, find joy in my journey. Learn to become an intentional creator by identifying something I can intrinsically value that will drive those 3 tests. Little slippery slope. Be careful. It's one reason why we didn't teach E to the I very often prior to last November. All these years. We spent a lot of time on I to the I, loving people, learning to heal your own self-esteem. Because it's a slippery slope. Because creative people not only can be creative in how to create, they can also be creative in how to finance something prematurely. And make premature purchases and obligate themselves in ways that only create more stress. We have to be very careful. I have to be very careful. I can and have done that. Many of you have too. Be very careful not to prematurely purchase. And your greatest risk is to go into fantasy, to start imagining what it's going to be like after you got that thing. Just know that's in violation of creation. There is no fantasy fairy that's going to magically manifest your dreams if you look at them and think about them with enough intention. They will be created by getting an inspired idea and acting on it. And if it inspires you and it encourages you and it fosters abundance, you are absolutely in alignment with intentional creation. Just be careful with the slippery slope. I quoted this earlier. I'm not on this earth by chance. I'm here for a purpose. That purpose is to grow into a mountain, not to shrink to a grain of sand. Too many people are trying to play life too small. In the name of, I just want it to be peaceful. What that means is they don't really want to grow. When Doug says, make it messy, it's his invitation to grow a little bit and inspire you to then want to improve to meet that level of responsibility. That's leadership. Don't shrink to a grain of sand. Don't pull back. Don't try to make life easier. Learn how to maximize it in every facet, in your business, in your relationship with a companion, in your relationship with children, in every capacity of your life. Grow into a mountain. Some people try to get off the grid. And then they have the stress of snowfall and grizzly bears. I mean, there's no place on this planet a person can go unless they have someone who's buying the drugs for them and they can totally anesthetize themselves and zone out. There's no place on this planet where there isn't stress. The question is, are we going to try to fight it, avoid it, or are we going to dive right into it and then acquire the ability to handle it? So, what is your E to the I? Do you have one? Because I'm going to say something really bold right now. We can be good at loving people. But if we don't have our E to the I in place as well, we are probably not embracing the structure. In other words, our why, we say it's just loving people, becomes our excuse for not embracing structure. When we love the people and we know what our E to the I is, we will. Because the natural outcome, we will embrace structure. We see the value in it. And what's really cool about your simple system, your unified system, is that it really works. If you plug in caring about people and building a dream, if it's just follow the system, it's mechanical. It has no life. Systems don't have any life. They're just directions for how to love people more effectively, love yourself more effectively, unleash passion, and find joy in the journey by serving the people. It supports you in accomplishing your objective. It's not in and of itself of any value at all, unless it's supporting you in intrinsically valuing people and having an E to the I. That's what it's for. And it's the third most important measurement in the mathematics. I just want to check how we're doing. Is it really 10:30? Oh my goodness, I'm just about done. So we want to really embrace the structure. Ask yourself, what are you resisting? The evidence is that if you are you are valuing the people and having an E to the I, you are embracing the structure. 1, 2, and 3, the three highest levels of mathematics. I to the I plus E to the I drives S to the I. Now just write this down. Just write this down. My mission is to give you the tools to do I to the I effectively, loving the people, loving yourself. E to the I, find your E to the I, have it drive your passion and find joy in the journey, embrace the structure. Everything you need to do those pieces you'll find in the Og Vault. Or you can call the office if you want to coach with us. We generally only work with coaching clients who've already got businesses successful enough to cover those costs. Now I'm going to say one thing about the vault and I'm done. You go to the special page and there is an offer that we have never made before. The Og Vault, $9.95 plus $50 a month? No, it's been $2.99 plus $20 a month for Take Shape for Life. Right now, we're taking the $2.99 and dividing it into 3 payments, so there's no big hit. Because $2.99 for someone relatively new in the business could be a lot of money that's coming out of their check. $115, $115, $115, $20 a month thereafter, and you've got the comprehensive vault to take on all of these thought processes and a weekly coaching call with Paul to drive them deeper into your life. Enough said. Okay. Let's find our E to the I. Let's find it. Let's ignite this passion. Let's awaken intrinsic motivation. Everything else will work. Simple system will function beautifully if we have awakened our intrinsic motivation. Well, Brian and Terry, back to you. And I apologize for going over. I just got carried away. It's all yours.
No, you're good, Dave. This is great stuff. I've taken so many notes and always loved listening to. This is one of my favorite topics, as you know. And I don't see how people make it without dreaming, without really going after their passions. And you're right. I mean, if you don't love the people, if you don't do those things, you're not going to achieve those dreams anyway. But I love what you said in the very beginning. You were going through the assessments that you've made of over 1,900 assessments, Take Shape for Life coaches. And the biggest concern is people loving themselves and finding joy in the journey.
Yeah.
You know, that's it's kind of sad. But I've also myself trying to learn to love myself as I go through this, and also finding joy in the journey, because it can sometimes be a struggle. You know, it doesn't matter where you are in your business. It can be a struggle moving forward. We get stuck sometimes, and we have to find that next why, what we want. And just before we close, I wanted to mention something to you. I remember Dan Bell one time calling me after I had finally achieved something that I set out to achieve right when I started Take Shape for Life. And all of you know that integrated presidentials make good money. My goal was to achieve a 6-figure income in a month. And this was quite a few years ago. But Dan calls me and he says, "So what was your check?" And I told him my check. And I'm like all excited about it, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I finally did this, you know, what I wanted to do for so many years. And he says, "Is that all?" Now, of course, you know, what he was trying to do, and what I understand now, you know, I did understand then, but you know, he's trying to do is get me to dream bigger and to think more about helping more people and to have bigger dreams myself. So we never stop dreaming. We should never stop dreaming. And that E to I, the I, is so important. And I know that Dave's been working with my wife a little bit too on some things, and trying to find her E to the I, because everybody's E to the I is different. See? But we want to make sure that we have those things, those things in our mind, what we want. And I know you mentioned too a little bit ago, you know, a lot of people on here believe in God. And I think God wants us to be happy. He wants us to have things. He wants us to be happy. And I love what you said about Mother Teresa. I didn't know that, about about the $110 million
Mhm.
you raised. I mean, you have to have those things, and you have to have all of this that you're talking about. But I think also sometimes we just need to give ourselves a break, and we just need to, take a breath and go, okay, I've got a great opportunity here. Yeah, I've got a great opportunity and a great, honestly, responsibility, I feel, to get it out to people. You know what I feel the worst? I feel the worst when I have had an opportunity and I let it slip by me. That's when I feel the worst. And the reason why I feel so bad about that is because I could have actually helped somebody in their life, whether it be with the program, whether it be the business, freeing up less stress, the time freedom factor. And we have the ability with Take Shape for Life and all the things we've been given to do this. And one other thing too, and another thing I noted down, I have a resistance to structure. I mean, and I've been learning as I'm going, because look, things are a little different. They're better than they've ever been. But sometimes we resist. And you can see, like you said, Dave, predictable transformation in everything we do. Everything from taking people on the health journey to taking people on their financial journey. We have the goods. We have it. We just need to share it more, and we need to have that E to the I. We need to have our goals, our dreams, and work the process. So thank you so much, Dave, for
Thank you, Ryan.
all you've done for us, and great words of wisdom and all these things. And I love how you compile the facts and give us the facts. I mean, this is what, these are things that we struggle with in Take Shape for Life. And I love that everybody loves people. We have a very high percentage of, people that's what we do. We love on people, but we need to have those other things in place. We need to have those goals and those dreams and never stop dreaming.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much, Dave. And I don't think Terry said she couldn't be on here at the end here, but I just want to say thank you so much. And these are being recorded. The first two you did, and then this one, the final of the series. I thought it was amazing, and I will definitely listen to it again. But thank you so much, Dave.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks everybody for hanging in there a little bit longer. So thank you.
It was great. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.